Good morning, everyone. So, this is Purnachandrarao, working as Assistant Professor from the CSC Data Science Department. Today, we are going to discussing the course name is Software Designing with UML. So, here the topic name is Introduction to UML. So, now we are going to discussing what are the elements, what are the standards, diagrams are used in this unified modeling language. So we are going to discuss today's class. Now the introduction. So first one, what is UML? The UML is one of the pictorial representation for starting to ending of the modules development of the project. So here the standard usual modeling language used software designing and system engineering to design a document and software systems. So here UML is a graphical notations. What is that? The having of graphical notations and common language for software development. Similarly, system architecture and stakeholders to communicating the visual various aspects of the system, the structure and behavior. So that is, and it was developed in the year of 1990. It since becomes the industry standards for modeling and designing for designing software and systems. So this is the introduction. Now, what are the key components of UML is? These are the key components you are expected in this UML diagram. So we actually have 9 diagrams already I discussed in the previous classes. So here we are going to discuss just you are introducing about UML diagrams. What are the various diagrams are used in this UML? So here we are considering first one is commonly used. There are the first one is the class diagram. The second one is use case diagram. Next one sequence diagram. Next activity diagram, state machine diagram, the component diagram and deployment diagram. So these are the various diagrams we have in the UML. Now the class diagram, which is what are the classes you are used in our project. So we have to use in this diagram. So we have so I will explain in the next class. So what is the class diagram? What are the components are there? So I will going to discuss in this. So basically, what are the components in this class diagram? Or what is the first one is class name. The second one is what is the attributes and methods and the relation between them. So this is mainly used. These are the elements. These are the elements we have used in this class diagram so far. Next one, the use case diagram, which is the functional requirement. The use case diagram is of all our functional, what are the functionalities you are used, the major functionalities what are the used in this development of the project. So we have to mention in this use case. Here, what are the requirements? Here the user perspectives, showing of use cases and actors. These are the some components used in this use case diagram. So next class we will explain what are the components of use case in a graphical manner. So I will going to explain in the next classes also. And go for the next one, sequence diagram, which is a sequence of activities. Sequence of activities and means runtime activities, how the one object to another object, how the process will be going on, what is the time duration, what is the time execution of this, and what is the stop, where it is stopped and where is recursive. So everything will be discussed in this sequence diagram. So basically it shows the interaction between the objects and the components over time, highlighting the flow messages and ordering of the execution. So I already discussed, right? The next one go for activity diagram. So it is activity how work will be flow from the starting to ending. So that will be discussed in this activity. So it is the activities or it is the static manner what are the, it is follows the use case diagram. Based on that, we can going to make diagram. We have some graphical components are there. I will explain in the next class. So these models are workflow, the business process with the system, depict actions, decisions and control flows. These are the some components are used in this activity diagram. Now go for the state chart, state mission diagram. It is what are the states we are having in this transaction. So we are going to this. This is the dynamic approach. This is the dynamic approach of the some states, internal states. What are the internal states? User is valid or not. So this kind of valid or not, and again re-entering of same form. So how it will be activate. So everything will be discussed in this by using of these components. So here there are represented different states. Transition the objects or system can be go through this. So that is the thing. Next one, go for component diagram. So the component diagram, it is the static of application. What are the component? What are the component is the entire one application. So in this we have several attributes are there, and some combo boxes are there, some list boxes are there, some text boxes are there, and OK buttons, cancel buttons, everything will be shown in this component. What are the elements you are used? So what are they? I may explain this. So all will be together and same. How it will be framed? That is a component. That is one application is a component. So they illustrate the physical structure of the system. It is illustrate the physical structure of the system, including of the components as well as their relationships. So that is also we can use this component diagram. Next one, deployment diagram. This is already I discussed. The deployment diagram, what happened? So it is deployed. So what are the components you are developed? What are the components you are developed? We are ready to live. So that is called as a deployment. We're ready to live to executing of this program. So that is called a deployment. So we have a server. We have a so it can be represented with two nodes. So this can be represented with some nodes like server is one of the node, cloud is another node, like a set of components with including of from relations, that is also one of the node. How they are interacted between one node to another node, everything will be deploymatically we have to show in this deployment diagram. So what this I'm going to just I'm reading this statement that depict the hardware and the software, the components, hardware and software component is distributed system, how they are deployed on the physical nodes, how they are deployed in the physical node. That will be discussed in this deployment diagram. So is it? I think everybody is clear. So what is class diagram? What are the components? So what are the elements you can call as components or elements having in this class diagram? What is the use case diagram? Similarly, sequence diagram. What is activity diagram? State mission diagram? The component diagram, and as well as a deployment diagram. So I think everybody is clear. The last one, so here you are going to discussing of some key components of the UML is first one is elements. So already I discussed what are the elements in this various diagrams I discussed. What are the elements? Some use case diagrams are there, some attributes are there, associations are there, use cases are there, activities are there, states are there. These are called as elements. These are called as a diagram. So next, just simply I'm reading the statement. The UML defines the various elements, that can be used in this diagram, such as classes, objects, interfaces, actors, and use cases, association, dependencies, and more. So these are the some structural behavior of the systems, right? So next one, the relationships. The relations already I discussed here. Mainly the relation between the class diagram to class to class. What is the relationships? Object to object. What is the relationships? One to one, one to many, many to many. So these are some association, dependencies, inheritance, comprehensive. So these are the several types of relations we have between these class diagram. So that will be discussed in the next notation. Next one, go for the notations. So notations, UML uses standard symbols notations to representing of the relationship in these diagrams, right? So these notations are consisting across the different UML diagrams. It makes easier to stakeholder. So and understanding and communication of the system. The basically what happened here, the stakeholders can easy to, the stakeholders means who are using this particular developing stakeholders, maybe a developer, maybe user, maybe other. So these are the called as we can easy way to understanding to developing of the what are the project you are taken. So we can easy to smooth working of the from the starting from scratch to and ending of the statement, how we can so that will be called as a notations. So we have several types of notations we are used. Notation nothing but some symbols are there. Notation nothing but some symbols we are used. And this use case diagram, sequence diagram, collaboration diagram, state chart diagram, activity. So these are some notations we have. So all will be use it and make development a smooth and flexible application we are developing and we are hosting into some server or we are deploying into the server. So these are the things we are used. And finally, by using of these components, we are easy to make development, develop the code. Okay, that is the thing we are going to discuss here. That is called the notation menu. It is what is called a symbol. Next, some modeling tools we are used here. The various some tools we are used for drawing of these kind of notations. So, what are the various software tools and applications are available for creating diagrams? These tools support the creation of the diagrams, generating a code, UML method, flexibility and development. So basically in this modeling tools or rational rows, you can use it for easy to draw what are the components we are discussed, what are the components we are discussed, what are the notations we are discussed, what are the elements we are discussed. We can use it to build up in a graphical manner. So this is a rational rows is a very important tool to development of these particular graphical notations, right? Next one, the purpose. Basically, what is the purpose we are going to develop? Already I discussed what is the purpose of this. So you can what is the purpose is UML service. The multiple purposes including visualization of the system designing, specific system requirements, what are the requirements are needed. So everything will be you can use it, and document writing architecture also there, and communication between the project stakeholder and supporting code generations, so and system implementation. So everything will be how they are communicating through these diagrams. It is easy to communicating from the outside people or inside developers and outside of the developer. You can easy to collaborate. You can easy to collaborate and develop the projects. So that is the main purpose. Each and every pitfalls, any failures, any successful elements, everything will be discussed in this by using of these components are can call as a notations. We are use some notations. We can easy to develop with the flexible, easy to develop and flexible to generating of the new product, generating of the new product. That is the main purpose of this UML diagram. Next one, that's extensibility. The extensibility means here the extensibility is extend domain specific modeling elements and profile allowed organization to tailor to specific needs to industries. So this is extensibility means if you want to based on the feedbacks, the industries, stakeholders. So these are the different types of candidates or users are there. So we are going to extend the projects. Extends the project means how long it will be useful for the industry. So everything will be domain specifically we can choose this extensibility. So now the standards, elements of the languages, general description of the modeling, process of the object development, descripting of the patterns and design description. So these are the some standards here. So we are going to discuss standards. So here the first one, diagram. This is UML diagram. What are the different diagrams? There are two types of diagrams are there. The first one is behavioral diagram. The second one is structural diagram. The behavioral diagram is dynamic approach. Structural diagram is a static approach. Okay. So structural diagram is a static. Behavioral is a dynamic approach. So here we are going to discuss in this behavioral diagrams or activity diagram, state machine diagrams, interaction diagrams and use case diagrams. Okay. Similarly, in the structural diagram, class diagram, component diagram, objective diagram, and composite to structure diagram, and deployment diagram, and package diagram, lastly a profile diagram. So these are the diagrams are included in this structural diagram. And behavioral diagram having this activity, interaction, and state machine and use case diagram. So interaction diagram means we have a communication diagram, interaction overview and sequence diagram, time diagram. So these are under the interaction diagram. So this is what you can call the diagrams. So these are the diagrams will be classified into two types. The first one is behavioral, second one is structural diagram. So that behavior diagram and structural diagram. Behavior diagram is what? It is a dynamic approach. Static structural diagram is it is a static approach. So here we are going to discuss here classes, objects, deployments and packages and profile diagrams. So these are the diagrams we are used in this structural diagram. And go for the behavior diagram, activity, state, sequence diagram and collaborations, interactive diagrams like sequence diagram, collaboration diagrams. So these are the diagrams you should be used in this behavioral diagrams. Okay. Now the structural diagram I already discussed. This is static structural diagram, static aspects of the system, structural including these are the things: class diagram, package diagram, object diagram, and component deployment diagram. And so these are the diagrams I discussed. And in the behavior diagram, we have it is a what is that? The aspects of the behavior of the including. It is called as a dynamic approach. It is dynamic approach. This is a static approach. It is a static approach. This is a dynamic approach. We have a static diagram, sequence diagram, use case diagram, and state chart diagram, state diagram, state chart diagram. Communication diagram means it is a collaboration diagram, and interaction over the diagrams and the timing diagram. So here also timing line we can use it and we should be use it. So basically main use of activity diagram, sequence diagram, use case, state and communication diagram majorly used in this behavioral diagram. And structural diagram we are basically use this class diagram and object, component and deployment diagram basically used in this system. Okay. And one more thing, objective diagram. These are the major diagrams you can use in this standards. Clear? Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.